Food security is a major concern of any government and is more worrying when reported deaths of human and livestock as a result of starvation is on the rise, as has been experienced in the country over the last couple of weeks. It is for this reason that Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology, through its Division of Research, Innovation and Outreach, RIO, and that of academics through the School of Agriculture and Food Sciences, have launched a research on insects for food and feed, abbreviated as INSEFOODs. Rearing insects, some for food and others for feed, is proving to be the solution we all look forward to alleviate the living standards of families that are challenged with having a healthy and balanced diet on their table. JOOUST researcher Professor Monica Ayeko, who is a professor of consumer science, have based her research on edible insects, looking into their nutritional value, and has come out with amazing results.
My study on edible insects started way back in about 15 years when I realized that we have a lot of edible insects in the community where we live. And then I was wondering why so much food insecurity, particularly with the children who are suffering a lot of diarrheal diseases and beaten up by lack of adequate food.
Cricket, for example, has been found richer in protein than the red meat, which has been reported to be posing danger on human health, according to the recent World Health Organization's report on meat consumption in relation to cancer.
My interest was simply to make protein-rich foods available for the children along the lake region, and particularly pregnant women, nursing women who needed food of such rich magnitude. And that's when I started working on cricket, and we started from scratch by picking insects around campus and feeding them on all edible vegetables around that we can think about.
Insect consumption is news to the current generation as compared to the older generation, where the practice was more normal but slowly faded away as people embraced more of the modern lifestyle, forsaking their traditional way of life. Cricket is rich in calcium, which is much needed in our bodies, especially for children's growth. 2 species of cricket are currently under study. Achita domesticus is the most readily found cricket in the local environment. Grylus beneflatus is the second species in the interest of the researcher. These 2 species have different preferences in terms of their living environment, hence are reared in separate housing conditions.
Here we have cricket, and the cricket in this run is Achita domesticus. Because we also learned that Achita needs different environmental condition from the other Grylus bimiculatus. So we only have Achita domesticus here. And then in the other housing, near the tank over there, is only housing Grylus bimiculatus. Bimiculatus needs a little bit warmer environment than here. That's why we decided to have the house being grouped with with that plastic sheet, and it gets very warm. It gets as warm as the tunnel because of that structure, but it is well ventilated, and Bimiculatus is doing very well over there. Yeah. Because we found when we put them in the same environment, they were taking so long to reach the laying stage. When we separated them and put them in a warmer place, they were hatching. So we discovered that we need to put them in a much warmer place relative to where Achita domesticus.
Both species are harvested at their maturity stage, which is after 3 months, and prepared in different forms of food for human consumption. Another insect under study is Rosphalia deferens. This is the green grasshopper with a long horn. This insect is found to be as much nutritious as the cricket and is fit for human consumption. It is also harvested at its maturity age of 3 months. After harvesting, the harvest is safely transported to food laboratory for further processing into various forms of food products that include briskets, sausages, samosas, pilau, and many others as per the wish of the specialist.
He's not well doing. He's still working with it. He's not very
So we have let flies dried using our solar. We can package them like this, just for sample. And we have the BSF also just package like this, and we keep them. This is ready for feed processing and also for
Black soldier fly, a common insect mostly found around rotting garbages and fly free in the air, is of greater interest in this study. The researcher, having studied the life and behavior of these insects, can now confirm that it is a better source of chicken and fish feed. Black soldier fly can easily be domesticated by simply collecting fruit and vegetable garbage, which will attract them from the atmosphere.
On this scratch, when we were beginning to rear the insects, we didn't know what would be the best housing for them. But we tried with several structures. The most important part is it has to be a place where you can attract from the natural environment an adult to come and lay. So we just use this kind of wooden material with, of course, the wire. The wire rack is to make sure that the other seekers of food, the rodents, the mice, and the cat, do not get in. And we placed it here, put other attractants, and within 2 weeks, the insects had come on their own. And that really made us excited because most literature still talk of BSF is not available in other countries like in Africa or in Kenya.
Scattered dark rubber pipes placed on the garbage forms a better site for their breeding. After laying their eggs, it only takes a period of not more than 3 days to hatch into larvae, which feeds on the rotting garbage. The larva is harvested at its maturity stage just before it turns to a maggot and dried in a solar dryer, after which it can be used just as it is to feed the chicken or grinded into mash for fish feeding.
When we started with this area, we meant it to be a greenhouse. And then we realized that we are not going to do the environmental control like it should be, because the insects need to be a little bit free and also to be able to fly about and get used to the natural condition. So it is not a greenhouse as such. We just call it a tunnel unit. And in the tunnel unit, we prefer it for rearing our black soldier fly, because the black soldier fly can fly wherever they want, and they know where the food is placed. They come back to where the food is, they mate and then lay their eggs. And also we prefer this tunnel because we have been able to control the rodents. We don't have rats or lizards, because those are another class that is really competing with us to get the food. So we have controlled most of the rodents. One major thing that right up to now we still not able to control well is the spider, because the spider also want to have access to this food. Particularly in the cricket production, the spiders are a big enemy, because when they get in, they suck the babies, and even the older ones, when there are no babies in the pen, they suck out. So we are still hustling with controlling the spider. We cannot spray spider, and so far I've been trying to look around if anybody has come out, the other scientists have come out with a spray for spider that will keep the spiders out but save my insects. That's a challenge, and this is a challenge for those of us who are also researching out there to find out what can be done. We have solar dryer, and the solar dryer we use for drying the crickets, clean it out, and use for drying the BSF for the feed. So this is a BSF that is currently, in fact, it's already dried and ready for processing. Yeah. The solar dryer is very efficient and it's cheap. You only pay for it when you are fabricating it. Afterwards, there's no cost. We have some of these equipment. These tools, like you can see, this is a baby cot. It's because we are doing something and somebody somewhere out there didn't think about one day somebody will want an insect to live in a cot. Therefore, we have been experimenting with what is available in the market. And here we are using the baby cots when we want to isolate the insects. You put them in here after mating and you zip them and they can't fly out. So you observe what they are doing, how they are behaving, how they are laying, and you can control their laying habit, where you want them to lay before you transport their eggs. These are ordinary racks which we bought from Nakumatt supermarket. And these racks are not meant for black soldier fly. They are meant for keeping household stuff, for keeping vegetables, keeping fruits and such like in the household. But because we found it was cheaper for us to just buy these racks, and you can stack them together. If we don't have enough space, you can stack them together. And right now, of course, they are empty because we have harvested. But from down here, you can see that we still have the first tire. When the tire is in place, you can place another one, and you can have as many stacks as the insects will be able to fly in and out, like this one. This is eggs laid, ready for hatching. So the only thing is we have to keep it moist, because these are freshly laid eggs that has to be kept moist for it to hatch. So you can put another tire on top here. You just place another tire and another group, give them substrate, and another insect will come and lay, and then you can have as many as you can. That's why we have all this here. Okay. Black soldier fly are very interesting insects. Only at the larval stage do they eat, when they are maggots. When they are the real flies, like we see a lot of them here, they don't eat. The most they can want is water. So this was one student experiment. We just had the greens and we water the greens. This is just melon plant. You water the melon plant and they get water from this plant because they also just need very little water. But for our other experiments, we do give them water in a little pan with cotton, like this one, so that this is wet, and they will know that there is water here for them to drink. So when they are adult like this, the one which is patched on my on my hand, they only come here to drink water.
Okay.
Yes. The young ones, the babies, the larval stage is what feeds, and we use different substrate for feeding. Right now we are using brewer's mash, and we mix with fruits and vegetable waste. And at a season like this, when there is not enough fruits and vegetable in the market, we buy just fresh fruits and vegetable, like where other household members buy their fruits and vegetables. Then we bring to the farm and chop them into small pieces. We mix with this material, the brewer's waste, and put in the trays, and they're doing quite well. The production is not maximized yet, but at least we are able to produce, we are able to harvest enough to do the little experiments and the little demonstrations that we are currently working on. The whole process is about a month. They lay the eggs, and after laying the eggs, hardly 3 days they hatch into larvae. They take another 2 weeks, they hatch, they start feeding. I mean, when they hatch, they start feeding very, very ferociously. They're old enough, they start pupating. And we only harvest them when they are at the pupating stage. That's when they self-harvest. They can crawl out of the wet place because the place where the larvae stay is fairly wet. So they crawl out into a dry place and we harvest them. Or we can also harvest by the technique that we have shown you, where you put them with a dry substrate and you can see they mate, and then they fly, they separate. A black soldier fly will not lay eggs where there is no food for the forthcoming babies. They only lay when they know there is adequate food for the babies to hatch and be able to, to live well.
The study, which is now advancing to a larger scale, with many other insects of different species,